Well, good morning, everyone. You'll see that today I'm wearing my poppy. I'm wearing my poppy because today is Remembrance Day. That's the day when we think about people who've died in wars, people who've given their lives, particularly soldiers, sailors, and airmen who fought to keep us in this country free. We wear a poppy, as many of you know, because in the First World War, there was a lot of fighting in Europe, and a lot of the battlefields, the areas where the fighting was carried out, were completely devastated. Everything, all the plants, were killed. But then, after the war was over, the first thing that grew in those fields was lovely red poppies. And they've become a symbol of our remembrance of the people who've died. Poppies reminding us, of course, of the blood that was shed, but also a reminder that God can bring life out of death, and that death never has the final word. So today is the 11th of November, and in a few minutes it'll be 11 o'clock on the 11th of November. So here we are, approaching the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. And traditionally, that's the time when everybody stops work, stops whatever they're doing, and for 2 minutes remembers those who have died. And that's what we're going to be doing this morning. Well, the two greatest wars in human history, the First World War and then the Second World War, were a long time ago now, long before any of you were born, and indeed before even I was born. There have been, of course, smaller conflicts, and there still are around the world, but those big ones were seen to be a very long time ago. And so to help us think about this Remembrance Day, I thought I'd share with you something I found in my father's papers. My dad, Bill Andrew, had a best friend whose name was Johnny. Johnny was a wireless operator in a British bomber aircraft. What I'd like to do is to read you part of a letter which he sent to my dad. Dear Bill, at last, after a very long spell, I can find time to write to you. Well, many things have happened since I last wrote, some exciting, some happy, and some so very sad. As I sit here writing, the flight sergeant is busy across the other side of the room, clearing up my roommate's kit and putting away those once treasured photos. And whether or not it's because a radio orchestra is playing some beautiful music, or because he was the last of room 10 at Leeming, there were 12 of us training there. I don't know which it is, but my eyes are rather wettish. Silly of me, of course, but I guess music affects me that way. Yes, poor old Spitfire Jones went for a Burton last night. Incidentally, he took my place as first wireless operator on Ginger's crew when I went into hospital. So once again, I've dodged the issue. Of course, you don't know how lucky I was when I left Leeming. The very next week, they lost 4 aircraft in one night. 20 of the best guys you could ever wish to meet. 2 of my old captains. That was the night we lost 12 planes. You see, it was freak weather. There was a layer of thin cloud at about 1,000 feet, a space of about 10,000 feet, and then another cloud layer of thin white cloud with very bad ice conditions. which our old bombers couldn't climb through. All the Germans had to do was to turn on as many searchlights as possible and then point them at the base of the cloud. And the result was a huge bowl inside, which was almost as light as day. Our poor old planes flew in, and before they could get clear again, the German fighters had them. Phew! Planes seemed to be falling everywhere, or so it seemed. Since then, 8 planes have failed to return to my old airfield. And, as I've already told you, nearly all of my pals have gone, leaving 20 widows. My old motorbike's going strong, and I've had no trouble so far. Petrol consumption is working out at about 90 miles to the gallon, which I'm sure you'll agree isn't too bad. I often pop into York, as it's quite near. The town isn't too bad. Bags of pubs and places of amusement. Yeah, it's quite nice there. It's a pity you aren't travelling north for your holidays. If you were, I could spend a day or two in York. You should pop along to our airfield, and I know my captain would give you a flight. Anyway, who knows? Perhaps you will visit me one of these days. Must close for now, Bill. Remember me to all at home. All the best. Sincerely, John. P.S. We're giving the enemy hell. 2 weeks later, my dad received another letter, this time from Johnny's mum. It reads as follows. Dear Bill and family, you will be sorry to hear that my dear Johnny is missing. He was in the big air raid on the 24th. You were all so good to him at different times when he was at home or on leave, and I know you gave him a happy time, and for that I thank you most truly. I know you will hope with me that he may come back yet. If not, well, God knows best. From yours, very sincerely, Mrs. A. Fawkes. Well, it's now 11 o'clock, so I invite you to join us in our 2-minute silence. And I'm sure I do scarcely need to say that if you want something to think about during those 2 minutes, you might want to think about young Johnny Fawkes. Thank you. I'm going to finish with a poem that reminds us that those young men and women, like Johnny, who gave their lives, rest in God's care, that they're safe. Unlike us, they won't grow old. They will be forever young in God's loving arms. They will grow not old, like we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. We will remember them. This coming Sunday, our remembrance will continue, and here in Esher there will be a special gathering at the War Memorial on Esher Green. I know that some of you children will already be planning to come along, because we'll be having representatives of the Scouts and the Guides, the Brownies and the Cubs, and other uniformed organisations as well, but everyone's welcome to come along. And then after that gathering on the green, we'll be going into church to pray, not only for remembrance and for those who've died, but also to pray for peace. And as part of that, we'll be putting up some doves, white doves, models of white doves, some of which have been made by children at Esher Church School, as a symbol of God's peace, for which we all pray. So thank you for this morning, and I'll see you again soon.